Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are strapping in for, I think, an incredible historical shortcut right into the origins of modern Taipei.
We're heading to the Datong district.
Exactly. This is where the city story really kicks off, combining the fierce commercial energy of Dadaocheng with the cultural bedrock of Dalongdong.
And it is so much more than just a cluster of old streets. I mean, if we look at the late Qing dynasty, Dadaocheng was already one of the three great markets of Taipei.
Right.
But what we're doing today is moving past those textbook summaries. We're going to dive into 5 interwoven stories, 5 narratives that explain not just how this place got so wealthy.
But why it developed such a ferocious resilience that we still see today.
That's the mission.
Yeah, that's the mission. We're tracing the story from pure geographic fate and global money, all the way to the invisible labor that actually paid for it all. We'll surface some pretty profound reflections and, of course, point you towards some amazing hidden gems for your next visit.
Okay, so let's start with story 1, geographic fate. Or maybe the power of policy over fate.
I like that.
We tend to romanticize natural harbors, but Dadong's success is a lesson in, well, overcoming what nature gave you. Before the Han immigrants, this was Ketagalan land.
Right, the Kawuzu settlements.
Exactly. And early on, the geography was absolutely secondary. There was a tributary of the Tamsui River nearby, the Fanzi Ditch.
Which means indigenous people's ditch.
It does. And it was so minor that locals had a nickname for it, the Blind Appendage Port.
The blind appendage. That tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it?
It really does. It was seen as completely insignificant, an afterthought.
A geographic weakness next to the real power, which was the Manga port to the south.
Precisely. But here's where it gets really interesting. Dadaocheng's destiny wasn't changed by nature. It was changed by a single administrative decision.
Okay, so Manga's port was silting up, which was pushing trade north anyway.
Yes, but that was just a slow drift. The real turning point, the lightning strike, was in 1887.
With the first governor, Lu Mingchuan.
That's the one. He made this crucial move. He formally designated Dadaocheng as the only official residence area for foreign merchants.
So it wasn't just a suggestion, it was an order.
There was an order, and that one policy endorsement completely reversed the geographic weakness.
Wow.
It was a policy pivot that instantly turned this secondary port into Taiwan's gateway for the international tea trade. Capital, people, ideas, they all flooded it. It completely surpassed manga.
It's such a powerful lesson that government policy can sometimes be more decisive than a natural harbor.
It really is.
And if we connect this to the traveler today, what really stands out is the transformation of the Dadaocheng Wharf itself.
Oh, absolutely. That's the ultimate hidden gem for understanding this shift.
Right.
It's no longer that chaotic 19th century trade hub. Now it's this huge leisure space.
Yanping Riverside Park.
Right. And you can cycle along the riverfront, where these massive ships once anchored. And at the same time, you'll see planes from Songshan Airport flying right overhead.
It's like feeling these overlapping historical eras at once.
You're literally moving from canvas sails to jet engines in one bike ride.
Okay, so from geographic fate, we move directly into the money it attracted. This brings us to the architecture of wealth and practicality.
And we should probably split this into 2 parts to really track the evolution. So story 2, Part A, tea barons and the Baroque display.
This is the golden age.
It really is. It was all driven by the global craze for Taiwan's oolong and bozong tea. At its peak, you had over 200 tea merchants just clustered around Guide Street.
And these guys were turning massive international profits into architecture.
And no one did that better than Chen Tianlai of the Kinqi Tea Company. His mansion, built in the 1920s, is just a masterpiece of confidence.
It's a 3-story Baroque statement. Lavish, highly decorated.
And using classical columns, Doric, Corinthian, he spared absolutely no expense.
But what's fascinating here is the intent behind the style, right?
Exactly. This wasn't just about looking rich. At the time, Western foreign merchants dominated global trade. So by building this incredibly ornate, Western-style Baroque house,
He was making a declaration.
a loud material declaration, he was telling the world, Taiwanese capitalists are your equals on the international stage. We speak the same architectural language of power.
And it wasn't just a pretty face either. The building was rigorously functional.
Oh, completely. The first floor was for transactions, the chaos of the market.
The second floor was for socializing, the tea tastings with foreign buyers.
And the third floor was the private residence. He literally designed his house to be the engine of his own wealth.
He didn't just stop at real estate, though.
Not at all. He used his tea profits to basically control the city's upper-class cultural life. He invested in the famous Palm Lai Pavilion restaurant.
And founded two major theaters in 1935, Yongleze and the First Theater.
Right. He wasn't just building a house, he was building a kind of cultural hegemony.
So for hidden gems here, the Chen Tianlai residence itself is a must-see, though it's currently under restoration.
It is. And also the Nufeng Chentico on Minqing West Road. It's like a living museum that shows you how the whole city was physically shaped by the tea industry.
Okay, that brings us seamlessly to the other side of the architectural story. Part B, Difo Street, and this idea of practicality.
Yes? Story 5. We've seen the flash of wealth on Guide Street, but the rest of the district had to adapt fast. During the Japanese colonial period, the government brought in the City Improvement Policy.
The Shikagezheng.
Exactly.
Right.
And this mandated widening the streets, which meant demolishing all the old Qing-era building fronts.
And this leads directly to the creation of the most defining feature of Difo Street, the Peilu Quo, the frontage houses.
Right. And if you walk down Depot Street, you are walking through a living museum of incredibly rapid architectural evolution.
In the early colonial period, you see all that ornate Baroque and eclecticism, the arches, the plasterwork that's meant to look like stone.
But then comes this great practical pivot around the 1920s. And what's amazing is how quickly local architects absorbed lessons from abroad.
You're talking about the earthquake.
The 1923 Great Kanto earthquake in Tokyo. It was a profound shock. That disaster showed everyone the extreme danger of these heavy, ornate brick and stone buildings during an earthquake.
So safety suddenly became more important than showing off.
Instantly. The same merchants who funded the Baroque facades quickly pivoted. They started building with reinforced concrete.
And the aesthetic changed completely.
Completely. You get cleaner forms, flat roofs instead of the old gables, light-colored tiles, and these simple, functional, horizontal lines.
It shows that Dadaocheng wasn't just trading tea. It was importing the most cutting-edge global knowledge on risk management.
That's a perfect way to put it. So the hidden gem here is the Douai Street Old Street House group itself, the Peilu Quo.
Which are these continuous facades with those deep arcades, the tinaka?
Yes, that constant covered walkway protecting you from the sun and the rain. It's practical, it's resilient, and it defines the street's rhythm. And we see how successful that design is in contemporary revitalizations, like the Starbucks Baoan branch.
It shows these historical buildings can be, living organic matter in a modern city.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered commerce and architecture. Let's shift our focus completely across the district to Dalongdong for story 3.
Resilience and faith. This is the cultural anchor,
This is the story of the Baoan Temple.
or Dalongdong Temple. Established by Tongan immigrants, founded way back in 1742, one of the 3 great temples of Taipei. And its founding legend, I think, perfectly illustrates how a faith from China becomes truly Taiwanese.
You're talking about the Lao Zhu legend, the old ancestor and second ancestor statues.
I am. The smaller Laozu statue arrived quickly and safely, no problem. But the larger, more important Erzu statue gets delayed by storms.
Right, it lands way down south in Tainan.
And it has to spend months traveling north by land. But during this long journey, it's greeted by crowds in every village, with welcome rituals and local operas.
So the delay of the Erzu is this beautiful metaphor for localization.
It is. The face didn't just arrive. It spread slowly, it engaged with the people, and it established this deep local identity across the entire island before it even got to Taipei.
But what's really fascinating to me is the temple's non-religious function.
Ah, yes. During the Japanese colonial era, when official state facilities were often lacking or, politically charged, Baoan Temple filled this crucial civic void.
It really was the community's anchor. It hosted schools.
The predecessor to Dalong Elementary,
Yeah.
and a women's craft society.
And it had this huge administrative role. Before the Taipei Confucius Temple was finished, the official Confucian ceremonies were held right there in 1926 and 1927.
And even more dramatically, during times of severe environmental stress, like the droughts of 1902 and 1943, the official rainmaking rituals were held at Baoan Temple.
So it stabilized the community through political change and even climate disasters.
It provided continuity and moral cohesion, and that continues today. The hidden gem here is its international recognition.
The UNESCO Award.
The UNESCO Asia-Pacific Cultural Heritage Conservation Award in 2003. They were praised for this perfect balance between modern science and traditional craftsmanship. It's the gold standard for preservation. It's a blueprint written in stone.
Okay, so we've covered the gold, the glory, and the faith. But to really understand this history, we have to turn to story 4.
The one that forces us to acknowledge the immense human cost of that Gilded Age. The untold story.
This means going from Chen Tianlai's 3 stories of Baroque luxury and looking down, right down to the street level to the deep arcades of Guide Street.
This is the story of sweat gold. And the sheer scale of the labor it's staggering. And it's almost invisible in the official history.
What are the numbers?
At the peak of the tea season, an average of 20,000 tea-picking women gathered daily under those arcades.
20,000 every day.
Every day. They were the engine of quality control. They performed the intensive, back-breaking, low-cost labor of hand-picking every single bad leaf to ensure the quality of exported oolong.
And this reveals a profound structural injustice.
Absolutely. They faced incredibly harsh conditions. Low pay, immense pressure to meet quotas. There are historical accounts of factory overseers using bamboo sticks to threaten them into meeting their targets.
So that extreme wealth displayed in the mansions.
The international power we were just talking about was accumulated directly on the backs of this massive, concentrated, low-cost female labor force.
So if you look up at Chen Tianlai's architectural success,
You absolutely have to look down at the ground where 20,000 invisible workers toiled.
20,000 women it's an incredible number. Did this labor concentration lead to any specific community infrastructure for them? Or were they just erased?
They were largely invisible in the official records, which only cared about the male merchants and the export numbers, but our contemporary hidden gem focuses on correcting that.
Social justice tourism.
Exactly. Specifically, the Women's Walk tour route, which intentionally shifts the narrative from the male capitalists to the female subjects who kept the city running,
And key sites on that route would include the Yongle Fabric Market.
which continues that tradition of female-centric business. And places like the former Black Beauty Cabaret. It's about seeking gender empowerment in the historical story.
So if we synthesize all 5 of these stories, Dadong District really offers this powerful philosophy of urban resilience.
It does.
Yeah.
While the economic peak, the tea gold, eventually faded due to global competition, the district survived. And it survived because it so successfully protected its cultural assets.
That's the mechanism, the fierce protection of culture, the UNESCO award, the revitalization of Diwa Street. That didn't just save old buildings.
No, it created a stable, non-cyclical economic value through tourism and heritage and community identity, a kind of value that the volatile tea market could never provide.
So is Dadong District basically a template for any modern city trying to survive deindustrialization?
By replacing physical gold with cultural gold, its history says yes.
And the ultimate responsibility, I think, lies with you, the traveler. A complete cultural experience means challenging that traditional history of the successful.
You have to acknowledge the sweat gold under the arcades, right alongside the magnificent facades.
So when you visit Dadong District, don't just see the old buildings or buy the dried goods.
Participate in a deep city walk and ask yourself this question. How does my appreciation for the incredible wealth and architecture of Guide Street fundamentally change when I remember the 20,000 invisible workers who helped pay for it?
That's the real conversation the city is having with history.